Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we're going to be starting the playoffs of a different tournament that I haven't covered yet. So basically this is called the CK Race Survival Tournament. This is basically one of those like Terran versus Protoss versus Zerg tournaments. There were 8 weeks of matches of mixed Korean and Chinese players. That's what this stands for, China-Korea Race Survival. And for the playoffs, we have some of the strongest players from both sides joining in. So this is basically the first elimination match. Zerg did the best throughout the season and will be awaiting in the finals. But here, this is going to be winner stays, Terran versus Protoss. So Team Terran versus Team Protoss. Whoever wins a match gets to stay. And yeah, so here we go. We're going to have, for Team Terran, you can see we have HiyA here. For Team Protoss, we have Ss1nz down here. The other players on Team Terran are Ss1nz, who is a very strong up-and-coming Terran pro right now. In fact, in my opinion, he's probably the strongest out of the 4 players for Team Terran. And then we have Mihu and Ss1nz. On the Protoss team, other than Ss1nz, we have Paralyzed, J-Star, and Janhun. I will say I think the Protoss lineup is a little bit stronger. And looking at the 8 weeks that you know, obviously we did not cast on this channel, but looking at those 8 weeks, Terran only was able to win a single week out of the 8, right? And that week was actually an all-kill by this man, HiyA. So, you know, we're going to see how he ends up doing here, how Team Terran ends up doing, but I do just... I mean, without even knowing the stats for the tournament thus far, looking at that Protoss lineup, it is a little bit scary. I feel like, but we have like good TVP players here as well. I think HiyA can put out a good, strong TVP. Ss1nz is very good. Mihu has very good TVP. I do think Ss1nz is going to have a little bit of a hard time. But anyways, we'll see how it goes, guys. Hope that you are going to enjoy. But yeah, anyways, like I mentioned, winner stays. Other player eliminated. Okay, so we're on Polypoid, cross spawn. Ss1nz is going to get up here second and be able to scout and see what's going on. He's going to move up here and realize that, oh, you know, HiyA wanted to do a gasless expansion, but as the probe came up, he decided to go ahead and take his gas, which I think is a very good call right now. If you try to go gasless expansion and they actually scout you before you start the command center, it used to be that if your barracks was done, you'd still make the command center. But more recently, we've seen Bisu bring out a proxy robo proxy gate build where you try to bust with Zealot, Dragoon, Reaver. And that has had a gigantic win rate. So players are playing a little bit more safely with the gasless expansions. And this does seem to be the meta shift that you need. You need the gas up a little bit faster than the command center if they scout you to prevent them from just going for that build and making it extremely hard to hold. Okay, so HiyA will be able to get that down. Looking over at Ss1nz's base, he has range on the way. Dragoon's coming up. He has this one already up at the front. Dragoon's walking over, but he should just be making the Nexus. Like, I mean, you can put on some pressure. Ooh, he doesn't quite block that ramp. You can put on some pressure with the range goons cross map, but I don't think that this is going to affect HiyA all that much. Honestly, I don't think he's going to really care that much. Now, he runs up here. He's tanking damage there on the Dragoon just to get the Zealot by. Ooh, and the Zealot does end up getting by. You can see that he canceled the construction there for a moment to try to block this Zealot. But we are going to get the Zealot in, and he is going to go ahead and chase that back. Ooh, beautiful, beautiful depot placement here to catch the Zealot so that he doesn't just have to chase it for 2 days. So the 2 Marines going to continue to fight, and he's just barely going to end up taking this down. As you can see, one hit left on both of those Marines now. The Dragoon did take a bit of damage. Ss1nz bringing up another one, a third on the way. And we'll see what tech he's going to go for. I'd imagine a Robo will be thrown down, but who knows? Maybe a third base or something like that. We're already HiyA mining from this natural expansion. Some damage being put onto that bunker. Very quick second gas and a second factory. So this is kind of interesting that he throws the second gas down this quickly. Basically, here's the kind of the thought process, right? So you do want a second gas with a gasless expansion, but if they start attacking you with mass range goons, you have to go siege, and you have to go siege tanks, and you have multiple SCVs. You have one SCV per goon up here, you know, repairing. So the amount of money this takes away between the repair cost and SCV's mining it's pretty high. And then you've built this geyser in your mining gas as well. So he's really hobbled his own mineral income here. In my opinion, in my very strong opinion about this, if this is occurring with a gasless expansion, you should wait a little bit longer to take this secondary gas, because again, look at this. Now we have 7 SCVs that are not mining minerals right now instead of 4, right? And the cost of the repair as well, it's like another 4 SCVs. So, you know, there's a little bit of issues here. His economy income, you're gonna see his gas kind of spurt up here, and his minerals stay very low. Very, very likely. Now, he'll probably grab an armory very quickly and try to make up for that, but he does end up holding it, no big issue. And you can see over across the map, Ss1nz has a second gate, but cut some Dragoon production to get his 3rd Nexus up. So really starting to mass here. Meanwhile, back at HiyA's base, he is adding a couple more factories. Is he just going to cut SCV production entirely here? This is very, very, very low for SCV production. Okay, so like you can do a 2 base all in 100%. Absolutely. It can be a very good move. And in fact, I mean, maybe this ends up winning for him. But what you can see here is his SCVs are extremely low. So a solid, like if you want to do a 5 or 6 fact, like super heavy push, generally you stop in the early 40s. Like maybe let's call it 44 SCVs is right around what's going to provide that for you. Here he's stopped at 31. So this is like incredibly all in. He's going to have to move out at these 2 tanks. Like he has to unload. He has to go now, because if you're waiting at all, like all these SCVs that you're skipping, you're not going to be able to make it up, right? Like you have to go. And he is making 4 vultures here. Maybe he's just waiting for those 4 vultures. Looking over at Ss1nz's base, you know, there's been no real scouting for HiyA, so he's not entirely sure what's going on. Citadel coming up. This is a really interesting way that Ss1nz is playing, by the way. So he's got this group of 7 Dragoons, so not quite 8. 8 one-shots a tank, 1-shots a vulture. But yeah, the vulture's going to start to run by. This looks like it is pretty good by HiyA, right? He's coming out with 6 siege tanks, 4 marines. He's got vultures laying mines behind. And there's no robotics for his opponent. It's just a citadel. So it's like Ss1nz is trying to just brute force his way through this game. He's skipping all sorts of tech. He'll get Zealot legs very shortly here, maybe even Dark Templar tech. But that's going to be about it. Now, he moves forward here, trying to pick off one of these tanks, but there are mines all over the place. You can see a lot of damage has been dealt. This was 7 goons. We're down to 6, and they're pretty badly hurt. Moving forward, going to be able to take out this tank as well. But this does slow this down as well. Okay, the vulture's trying to rally down. He's only got 4 factories, so it's just going to be a 4-factory rally this whole time. And he is going for it. He's going to pop a couple Dragoons over here. He has mines laid in this path. So these Dragoons, ooh, they do pick off that mine. Very important moment. Setting up a bunker, getting his siege tanks into position here. And look at this. He actually could send 2 vultures up here. If he sends a couple vultures up here, he is going to be able to kill a lot of probes and maybe get this game into an even spot. But right now, he's down 20 workers, which is a huge issue. You see Ss1nz just kind of shoving his way forward through these mines. He's flanking as well. If he kills all these siege tanks and he hasn't lost workers, and it looks like exactly what we're going to see here, this looks extremely good for Ss1nz right now. Okay? And he didn't even get his legs upgrade. He literally just produced off of 2 and then 4 gates against a much faster expansion. But you can see that HiyA now trying to get his SCVs back in production, but it's very, very, very late. So this is not a particularly good situation for him. 37 is like, you can't really cleanly macro off of the couple of bases, right? Like you need to increase your SCV count. You need to get an armory going, right? You're going to need missile turrets likely. You know, he did get scans, so that's kind of nice. You know, it's a tough one. He is catching up on that SCV count a little bit, but No real map control. Like, there's a few vultures going around. He has a few mines around the map. But Ss1nz's macro is going to get out of control. Look at his bank right now. He's got like 900 minerals. He's just starting to add all of his gateways. He's getting those legs. I think that this will probably be pretty straightforward for Ss1nz, right? Like, if he's going to nail his gateway ads. And like, that's going to make this like a very, very difficult thing to break through. HiyA may need to kind of pull himself back into a turtle's spot, but if he does that, then Ss1nz is going to have a lot of flexibility with what he wants to do next. So you see HiyA is trying to break through, killing off this pylon. And, well, losing that vulture there, unfortunately. Gonna bring these siege tanks up here as well. This is a good move. I like this move. I like this idea. Will he be able to actually make this work? Because the zealot legs are done, so you can just bring like 3-4 zealots up and they just kind of clear everything. See, this runs forward, drags a mine. You pull back. He's lost 1 goon, 2 goons there. Not a big deal. He is running into a lot of mines, so there is like a little bit of sloppiness occurring based on the opening that Ss1nz went for in response here to HiyA. HiyA getting up to those 6 factories we were talking about before. Notice how he's kind of those mid-40s I was talking about to support the 6 factories. But is that too little too late? He's down quite a bit of supply. Now, 13 of that is in just workers, but, you know, I don't know. Like, this setup is good by HiyA. He is pushing up. There's some very reasonable things happening for him, but I do feel like as soon as you actually make a round of zealots here, you'll break through. In fact, he's got just a few zealots, and of course, as the zealots go forward, they're going to get on top of the tanks, and the tank is basically dead in this type of situation with no vultures there, right? Like, the zealots just do such a good job cleaning. But you can see these tanks on the low ground have killed a ridiculous amount of dragoons at this point, and now vultures coming up, doing some harassment. Can HiyA actually win this game? He's evened up the supplies at this point. He's dealing damage to the economy of Ss1nz. I feel like Ss1nz just kind of overproduced dragoons slightly here. This was all siege tanks. If he had just brought some zealots up, I do feel like he would have saved this base a lot more efficiently. But as is, suddenly we're down to 55 probes against 50 SCVs, and Ss1nz doesn't have a lot going on. Right now, he's getting into his Reaver Tech extremely late, around 13 minutes. The 3rd command center is going to be finishing. This Nexus is done, but he hasn't been able to clear that area. He's giving up this Nexus. So HiyA's push is ending up working here. You know, a part of this, of course, skipping those observers early on and everything, but, you know, he front-loaded all of the gateway production instead so he could break the initial push over here. I gotta say, pretty well done by HiyA here to get this into a position where I'm looking at it, I'd feel happy with this spot. 100% as HiyA. It looks good, right? 51 SCVs, not so bad. You can work with that. You can get it up into your mid-60s, build a couple missile turrets here, spread everything out. He's got really good mine coverage. Look at this, a vulture checking down here. He's just going to want to continually scout a little bit here, and he already has scans, so it's not an issue. Speed vultures running around the map. Now, what is the plan here from Ss1nz? Well, it looks like he wants to clear the mines over in this area. I think, you know, obviously a good idea to just kind of clean up your side of the map. He's been sitting on 8 gates for a while. His supply is getting pretty high. He's getting a good amount of zealots and dragoons, but he doesn't have any good tech units. A Reaver on the way, Templar Archives on the way, speed shuttles on the way, but HiyA also on the way here coming across the map. With 6 factories, we'll see if he goes tanks out of 2 and vultures out of 4, or if he goes vultures out of 6 here. Because I feel like right now this is enough if he gets pure vulture down here. Like, he just needs as many vultures as possible to buffer against everything. They need to make sure that this army stays off of the siege tanks. And if he can do that, that's going to be really, really strong. Now, there is a shuttle. Speed is almost done. There's 4 Goliaths, though, which is a great number here against those shuttles. Going to be able to take them down pretty quickly if you're targeting. Ss1nz right now under siege. All right, brings his Goliaths forward here, trying to pick off that shuttle. The shuttle does get picked. The Reaver gets a shot off there, but you know what? I think HiyA's actually done it. I gotta say, impressive game. I really felt like Ss1nz had an advantage there, but HiyA, with a strong push over at 9 o'clock, ends up taking it. GG, that's 1 win for Team Terran.